All right, welcome to the show, everyone. It's a show and it's a meeting. So I have with me the Rewiring Your Core Wound Pattern program from September of 2023. And one of the things that I like to do on the last group call of whatever group it's Empowerment Strategist, the Rewire group, is to just sort of come back and review why you joined, what did you get, what's the biggest aha and change potential that you had in your life in the time that you were in this program. And then I really love my most fun favorite part is when you get to reflect to each other the growth that you've seen. So at this moment, we're missing another person who did the group, but we will address her in the end in terms of offering the feedback so that when she hears this, she'll be very excited to hear how you guys saw her growth as well. But let's start off first just by introducing everybody. I'm going to start in the sort of order in which you probably showed up. So let's start Karen, and then Julie, and then Stephanie. Okay, so introduce yourself and where you live, and a little bit about how you got here.
Okay, hi. My name is Karen. I live down the Jersey Shore right now, and found JJ a couple of years ago on another podcast, and I listened to her and liked what she had to say, and I jumped right on board and started listening to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, and did a couple of courses, and now just completed the Rewire, and yeah, seen a lot of great stuff over the past few years.
And you're in Empower You in the membership.
And Empower You.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Okay, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie. I live in Michigan. I think I found JJ. I think you were a visitor on somebody else's podcast. Do you go on other people's podcasts? Okay.
I do.
I did not know of yours, but I listened to thousands of podcasts, and finally you were a guest, and I wrote your name down, and I wish, I'll find it later, but I have a piece of paper of what you said, which is why that statement, whatever it was, and I'll find it, was why I was like, she's it. I've been looking for a while, and she's it. So contacted you, got to your podcast, and then contacted you very shortly. I think you were even shocked because you said you haven't even listened to my podcast yet. I don't even think I've listened to one of yours. And so you sent me a bunch. Please listen before you make any decisions. So
yeah. Well, I love that when you know, and I just wanted you to be sure. So there was no like, hey, what did I just get myself into? So That's awesome. So thanks, Julie. Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I am from Alberta, Canada. And I found JJ through my mom, actually. So I got to watch my mom struggle with addiction and then watch her recovery going through the 12-step program, and like the generic way of doing that. And then I also got to watch her progress going through you, and I got to see how much more she got in such a shorter period of time. So I listened to podcasts, and when this program came up, it just kind of fell into my lap. So I was excited to try it.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to Libby. So we're missing Lisa, and Lisa also lives in Canada and listens to the show for a while. Actually, she was the first person to sign up for this group, sort of in the middle of the summer before we even got started. So let's start with Karen. Why did you join? What was going on in your life? What was the pain point? What pushed you to say, okay, I'm ready. I need something more comprehensive, a little bit more involved, higher level, more touch, more personalization. And then of course, let's talk about if you got that out of this. So Karen.
Okay, so like I said, I was listening to the podcasts, and I heard about when the beta program was coming out on this, and I did reach out to JJ about it, but I was like, the scarcity came in, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. But I did do the Roadmap to Emotional Healing course, and I saw some growth, but I felt like I needed the push, I needed the accountability, and I needed to dig deeper within. And I knew doing it on my own was not enough. I needed to be part of the group. And I've watched other people in the group, in other groups and masterminds and all, and their development. And I've actually got some ROA partners, one in particular that I watched her grow and was just so amazed by all that how she developed, and I just felt a bond with her and just a lot of similarities, and I just felt like I was ready. And then this group came up again, and I reached out to JJ. I said, I'm ready to do it, and let's jump on a call. And we jumped on a call and made it happen. And 3 months later, here I am.
You guys are unique in that the beta group did 3 months first. We did a call, we did a show, and then, but a lot of them moved on, actually, like most of them moved on into another 2 months after that. So they had like more time a little bit than you guys have. So you're like the true, you did 3 months of exactly this program. And I think, you know, it gets more fine tuned every single time. But Karen, you were funny in that you knew going in, like it was going to be more than the beta group, A. And then you were like, yeah, I have no scarcity. And then even after you purchased, you're like, yep, I didn't have any regret. I didn't wake up with, you know, having that buyer's remorse. And I know I'm ready. You waited until you're ready. And you came in with some goals like weight loss, relationship, career, financial, full release of all the buried stuff. So why don't you talk about what your biggest shifts have been or what you got out of this?
Okay, well, weight loss, I mean, it's still ongoing, but I kind of felt I was stuck at a certain spot weight-wise, and I've actually dropped pounds, and people have actually noticed. And also, I think a lot of that weight that I was carrying just finally started coming off, just from feeling better about myself. And one of my biggest things discovering a core wound was devaluing myself. And I finally could say I value myself. And to be able to look in a mirror and say positive things to myself and believe it makes me want, like, I'm getting teary-eyed just saying. It's amazing. It really is, that I could actually feel like that I have value, and that I'm not less than, and that I'm seen and I'm heard. And one of my biggest steps is I'm a chef, and for over 20 years now, I've wanted to do my own side gig, my own business. And I've talked about it. And I finally did my own LLC just recently. And now I actually have Chef Karen nourishing the mind, body, and soul. So I wanted a career jump. I still keep my career with my company, but this is a stepping stone for me to branch out and finally do my own thing.
And you even have your first client.
And I even have my first client next week.
Not even just next week. That's so exciting. That's just more than just an idea, right? It's a realization. It's you're not just thinking about it and getting excited about an idea. You actually put it into action and are doing it. Like, you've realized it and you're going to continue doing it. It's going to build momentum. So thank you, Karen. That was, and again, when we get to the end and we talk to everybody, I will offer also reflections back to you all about your growth, but I'm going to hold that from now. I want you to think about, I'm going to move on to Julie, but I want you to think about on the next round, sort of the biggest either lesson or aha moment, like whether it be one of the tools, like what do you think made the biggest shift for you in your behavior, in going from feeling devalued or believing you didn't have value to now that you have value, now that you love yourself and you have value and you are investing in yourself and you're putting yourself out there and you're listening to yourself. Like, so maybe it's not just one tool, but something. Like, what do you think made the biggest difference? So we're going to come back, and that'll be the second round. And Julie, so why did you join?
Well, I had a multitude of things. I had two parents that died unexpectedly, 6 months apart, right after I'd gotten out of a toxic relationship, which I, for a long time, thought it was just fine. It was just highs and lows, and thought he was the greatest thing ever, unless he wasn't. And so I listened to podcasts about that. Like, what did I miss? Why was he like this? And that was my second marriage. And so I actually early on even contacted a dating coach, a famous, maybe that's where I heard you on oh my gosh, quote, the charisma quoting,
Kim.
Charisma. Kimmy.
Yeah.
So I had a call with her, and I was going to sign up for her. And she was like, I'm not sure that you're ready to even date because I didn't know I had so many wounds. I had no idea. I just thought I had the wrong guy. And I think that might have been before my parents passed away though. So anyway, that's where that just hit me. That's where I heard you. And so I just had a lot of things going on, and I just thought, well, I'm a hard worker and I just plow through it and I'll just get information and I'll figure this out and be fine. And then it just wasn't working. And so I kept listening to more podcasts and filling my brain with that because I had to hear somebody talking in my ear all the time, which now I know is unhealthy too. And that's when I was like, I need help. I can't do it all myself. I had scarcity, did not want to part with any money, because I thought, I'm smart, I work hard, I can do it myself. Why would I pay somebody else to do something I can do myself? And so there was that. And then there was also, just trying to decide, should I retire? Should I not retire? And I think you said it the best one time. You said, who the blank is Julie. We need to figure out who the blank is Julie. I won't swear on your podcast, but
You can.
so
I mean, we have a little one with us today, but I think Stephanie's
yes.
okay with an F-bomb here or there.
Yeah. So
earmuffs.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just say, who the hell?
Yeah. Who the hell is Julie? We got to figure out who the hell Julie is. That's what you said with a different word.
Yeah. So then what happened? And let me ask before you answer
So-
that, could you have done what we did on your own?
No, because
Why?
I was going down the wrong path.
Right.
I was thinking I'm just listening to the wrong podcast or choosing the wrong guys, or I wasn't looking at myself and what my wounds were, going back to the abandonment wound, which is why I choose these guys who give you all this attention early on, and it's not good. So yeah, I was going down the wrong path.
Well, no, let's talk about what did happen. So
Yeah.
what were sort of the results of this for you?
Oh gosh, a lot. I'm in a relationship now that probably I wouldn't be if I hadn't learned the things I had learned, because like you said, it's not his job to make you feel how you want to feel. And half the time the president doesn't even know. I didn't properly grieve my parents, so I couldn't get through the wounds of, or the death stuff, the money, the whatever. I couldn't get through that without them, grieving them. And I hadn't done that. And you recognize that. I didn't recognize that. I thought I had. What else? I don't know.
Well, let's see.
I go inward first. I look at myself first, and I think, no, think about this, flip the script, and I have your voice in my head now. It's not his responsibility. This is yours, or whatever, it's your responsibility to make yourself happy. So that helps a lot.
Again, I can answer. I feel like I can answer the questions for all of you pretty much.
I
But I don't want to, because I'd love to hear something new potentially, or something that I, should be shocked. But so in the next round, I want you to think about, and you had come in, I'm looking at your goals, to heal your inner child wounds, scarcity mindset, figure out your next chapter in retirement, finding your partner who's healthy and create long-term relationships. And I think there were some other things that happened that you didn't anticipate. And like, would you say, well, actually, I think you all would say this. Would everybody agree that you are calmer, that you're more confident, that you feel less anxiety or less worry or less, any of the negative emotions?
I mean, I personally always thought I was calm, confident, cool, collected. I did. I really did. But I'm being told now that I am actually now that I had a energy about me that was, I just thought I was just hey, I'm energetic. I'm a fast person. What do you expect? But it wasn't in a good way. It was in a anxious way. And I never would have said ever did I ever have anxiety, because I think I covered it up with hard work and just get through it and move faster, harder. And it just all covered up that I actually did have anxiety. But if I listen to my stomach, I get that, stomach. Even now, when the one thing JJ could not get me to do so far is to get into a different career or get out of my career. I'm still struggling with that, but I do get stomach aches today. I sent an email that was incorrect, which I was able to recall, and I got this awful stomach ache. And I'm like, you don't have to be here. Like, just calm down. It's fine. You fixed it. Nothing happened. And you don't have to, you're choosing to do this. So if you're choosing to do it, then be happy.
Hey, that was a great way to talk yourself down. So maybe at least you have some tools to bring you
Yes.
back into a broader perspective, which will help hopefully some of the feelings that you have dissipate a little bit or subside. So
Yeah.
that was great.
Yes.
All right, Mama Stephanie.
Hello.
Hi.
I guess I joined because I finally got to a place in my life where I was getting sick of my own shit. I would feel like I have it all together. I do really good. And it was because everything in my life was working out for me. And then all of a sudden I had I had everything figured out. I'm always kind of the person that I find one thing that works for me, and now I gotta tell the whole world and try and convince everyone with me this really good thing that I found or whatever. But I kind of had realized that I was lying. It was only very surface level work. I had a lot of stuff that I hadn't ever acknowledged or even worked on, let alone considered that they even existed. So I was just ready to dive a little bit deeper and go beyond just, appreciating or mirror work or just very surface level things. I realized that I had to be more because I kept falling back into these same patterns. I was like, hey, obviously I don't have it all figured out if I keep ending up here. And I think being postpartum really slapped me hard. I mean, there's a lot going on with your body, your hormones, your new life, your sleep schedule, everything kind of hits you at once. And I think that's a really great opportunity to realize that I don't have any tools that are helping me through this because it was hard. So I was ready, and I knew that not that I'm discrediting postpartum and postpartum depression. I know it's serious, but I also truly believe that anybody could take control of that if you just have the right tools. Like, I'm not one to blame. So I was ready to put that on myself because I really like the power that comes from that. So I was like, okay, just tell me how, and I'm ready because I don't want this any longer. So that would be my why. And
So
I
I'm
forget
looking
the
at your
second.
goals, right? And then
Yeah.
some of your goals, you said you wanted to find to become me again. You wanted to let go of past baggage and to learn to manifest easily.
Yes.
So what happened in this 3 months with you?
Let go of baggage. What was my first goal? What did I say?
Find you again.
Okay, yeah. I'm surprised I forgot that one. That was most important. Yeah, exactly that. Throughout life, you slowly lose yourself because you're just acting a certain way to meet other people's standards or expectations, and it's easier. And everyone always felt so, or looked up to me in my life, or always had really great things. So I felt like had certain expectations to always meet, and throughout life I was just slowly losing myself. Like, I realized, I don't even remember the last time I laughed and it was genuine. I don't remember the last time I really smiled or really felt happy to my core in all situations. And I really wanted that person back because life was so much better when you laugh. So that's what I really wanted from this course, and I definitely got it. I find myself upper limiting sometimes where I'm in a situation and it's really fun or it's funny and I want to like act a certain way, and I almost like stop myself. But now I'm more aware that I'm doing it, and I'm kind of pushing myself and stretching a little bit, and just do it, just be fun, just laugh, just go ahead. But it still doesn't feel 100% natural. So it's definitely still something I'm working on, but just that awareness is gonna get me there. So I'm so grateful for that.
You had also talked about, like, I think one of the concepts in the beginning that you talked about was not even really checking in with you. Like, I think when you and I first talked, you talked about, like, here I am single and I know how to do that. And then I'm in a relationship with a family and all of a sudden I've lost myself and I don't know how to be here. And then what we saw you do when you were traveling, and like kind of what you started to take control back and sort of check in with, what is it that I want? And I felt like that was kind of a new concept for you. Was that right?
Yes. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I might not have even recognized that, but definitely I'm putting myself first more. And I think that happens to a lot of women in general, is a kind of like to take care of everyone else. And especially with 2 kids, I actually really love that role as the caregiver, but I definitely neglect myself. And in taking care of myself, I'm not getting as upset when other people, when I'm not pleasing other people the way I felt like I had to before. I was definitely big people pleaser or that love prostitute. And I'm not doing that anymore. If I'm showing love, it's because I genuinely want to. It's not for nothing in return. And it feels so much better to love that way. Like, oh, I'm going to do this for you because I love you, not because I expected this, this, and this, and this, because that's how I thought I should feel loved. But I've let go of that completely. So I feel like I'm still doing all those things, but it's not for the same reason. It's real, I guess. And I didn't realize that those doing it before, it wasn't real. It was like a service.
Yeah, I think is performing for love one of your ways that you deal with your wounds?
Yeah. And I had no idea until this course. And for me, that awareness was enough. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop. You told me I was doing it. Oh, that's why. And then that's been this whole course for me, actually. I didn't even know if I really needed to dive deep, what I thought. I thought I really needed to dive deep and figure out all the little details, but I just needed to know I was doing it. And then, yeah.
Well, you're a Sag. Sages have sometimes that idea of when you know something, you can't unknow it, and therefore you hold yourself accountable to changing the behaviors because you're so painfully aware of it. Like you see it and you go, oh my God, I have to stop doing that right now. So it's a faster pivot when I think, and that's not everybody there, because I have plenty of clients in the past as a trainer and everything. And even when you'd point out some of their, habits and patterns, didn't mean they stopped them. I didn't stop mine until I understood that it's perpetuation from childhood and why I was doing it. Then quickly it was easy to stop because I could see that it wasn't situational, it wasn't circumstantial, it wasn't because of my marriage, it wasn't because of my whatever. It was literally what I had been doing my entire life and couldn't see it in that span because I was thinking, oh, but this is just situational. In this situation, this is what's necessary. I have to do this because of X, Y, and Z. And I stopped negotiating that kind of stuff because I saw the pattern. So
yeah, exactly that. But for me, it's like now when I'm following into that same patterns, I have that like awareness that says, okay, if you continue to do this, if this is on you, like, better and you're choosing that. And then I do have moments where like, yes, I am choosing that. I want to play this sad story. I want to feel sorry for myself or whatever, but it's so short. It's like that 2 minute. I'm like, okay, it wasn't as fun as I was hoping, or didn't give me what I needed. So yeah, it's a quicker pivot for sure.
good. So think about for you too, Stephanie, sort of like what either the biggest tool or aha or, activity, homework, something that really made the biggest difference for you. So think about that. Karen, I'm going to go back to you and you answered that question. And then I also want you to, in this round, then the third round will be telling everybody how you've seen them grow, which I know you've already told each other many times on Marco, but now we can share it with the world and we can give some more love to everybody. I also just want you to think about, after you say whatever that tool is or, situation, remember back to your resistance or your, knowing that you sort of were you wanted something more, but like, what would you have said to yourself to get you, you still followed that there was a timing and you were ready and you committed. But what if there's somebody who there's timing and they're not committing and they're not committing and they're not doing it? Like, what would you have needed to hear in order for you to light a fire under your butt to follow your intuition to do it? So anyway, so let's start with the exercise first.
Okay, so I think, well, there's a couple of ahas for me. The one, I'm going to, first of all, just digging deep into my core wounds and realizing that the shame and the devaluing that I had, and why I never realized, but why I reacted to a lot of situations the way I did was because of these core wounds. And to get a true understanding with the feelings and needs and what needs were not being met. And it really just opened up so many more doorways, and it just made so much more sense of why my reactions were what they were. And then instead of continuing to react the same way, I changed how I reacted to situations, and also to realize that how I took things when somebody said something, it wasn't against me. It was probably something that they were going through themselves. So it really gave me just a better understanding of interacting with other people as well and doing that. And I really do have to say a big thing that really helped me, the ROAs every day, starting off my morning with appreciations. I mean, between the ROAs and journaling, which is something I never really did, and being able to wake up every morning and right as soon as I wake up, I go right into my appreciations, and starting my day with appreciation just changes the whole pattern for the day. And I mean, I tell people about it all the time at work now. And I'm like, in fact, one of my customers at work came down today. She's like, come here, I need a big hug. And I gave her a big hug. And I told her, I was like, you need to start your days off with appreciation. And it's like, now I'm like trying to coach people at work, which is, it's great. It's just, you feel and feeling the energy. That's the other thing. It's just like feeling the energy of people and feeling that positive energy out there. It's just, I have an awareness that I've never had before. And the biggest is the whole scarcity thing. I've lived in scarcity my whole life, practically. Money, 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 money. It was always a worry. And that's what, when the first course came around, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't spend that money. No. So what can I tell people? Invest in yourself. It's not spending money. It's an investment in yourself. And for me, like you said, when I first did that, normally when I would spend money, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. No, I invested in myself, and this was an investment, and it was worth every single penny, to the fact that I got into bike riding very heavily. And like 2 months ago, I was doing these big bike rides, and I went to the store and I bought myself a new used carbon bicycle, but I spent quite a few $100s on it, which I would have never done that before, because I would second, third, and fourth guess myself. But I invested in myself again, and it feels great. So investing in yourself long term, I think, is one of the best things you could do, because that gives a value to yourself, and it just helps you grow. So those are the areas I'm definitely going to say that have aha'd me and helped me.
Well, and even though this isn't a business group, one of your lessons was about like this long-term desire you had to get out into the world, Chef Karen, and hadn't done it, 20 years, hadn't done it. And I'm like, all right, here's what you're going to do. And it wasn't because this is a business mastermind, but you will make money from the work we did here, because it pushed you to do the thing you've been sitting on doing, and devaluing yourself, abandoning yourself, undervaluing yourself, all the core wounds to yourself, basically, right? And so you're going to be becoming cash positive on this investment in the near future, because of what it brought you to do that you couldn't do or didn't do. Maybe you could have, give it a little bit more time. Maybe you could have, but in 20 years you hadn't. So what did it cost you not to, right? So some people are like, well, how much is it going to cost me now? I'm like, how much does it cost you not to? Let's ask that question. How many more years are you going to be unhappy doing a lot of things that you might be doing to make yourself happy that aren't working, because they're not getting to the root of your thoughts or your habits or your interpretations and beliefs about yourself and the world. So, so thanks for sharing that. And so invest in yourself. That was the message for anyone who's
invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And zone of genius. I've learned what my zone of genius truly was. I mean, I know what my passion was, but now I know the zone of genius, and to work with that and to grow with that. So
yay. Everyone follow Chef Karen on Instagram, CHEFKARON. All of their contact information, that is, if anyone has any that they want to share, will be in the show notes. I'm not going to give anybody's personal information if you don't want it, but in the case of Karen, we're doing business here. So her stuff will definitely be in the show notes. Thanks, Karen. All right.
Thank you.
And then the next round will be, pointing out everybody's growth. So Julie.
I guess, can I start with a couple things that you had me do that really highlighted?
That's what I want you to start with, whatever kind of the most important changing, the things that made the biggest difference in your growth.
Okay. So, I've always wanted to, no, I haven't always wanted to. I've always known I needed to be able to go somewhere by myself, go have dinner by myself where people might know me, or go on a trip by myself. And I have been trying to do it for 3 years. and I couldn't do it. That's silly. If I'm going on a trip, I'm going to take that time off work. I'm going to be with some, loved ones or whatever. But you convinced me how important it is. And the other assignment you gave me that was a little bit easier to pull off, but not easy inside me, was to dress like a fool, what I felt like was a fool, and go somewhere. So I chose to go to the grocery store in my daughter's big baggy sweatshirt and sweatpants. And I had to send a video to these wonderful ladies showing how I thought I looked crazy because I wear fitted clothes generally. They thought I looked like anybody else you'd see at the grocery store, which is what I found out. But it took me 20 minutes to get out of the car. I was stress shopping. It was incredible to see. Like I didn't even notice it at first. And I'm like, get in there. It's been 20 minutes. So I went in and I didn't go. I thought I'd just get in and out, and I took my time. And little boy was like, hi. And I'm like, hi, little boy. Like, why are you saying hello to me? Nobody ever says hello to me. So it was a really cool experience. Well, that very night I got home, and that's when I got on my phone and I booked the trip. Like I booked a wellness retreat for 5 days by myself, spent too much money, had a lot of space. So I could have brought probably 5 friends with me. So I was kind of horrified by that when I got there and saw how much room I had. But I said, nope, you're not going to think that way, and you're going to enjoy it. And I got so much out of it. I mean, it was life-changing, really. But those 2 things, weirdly enough, life-changing.
And define those exercises for those of you that are listening and or watching. So this program is called Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns. And every single person had different homework based on their core wounds, how they upper limit themselves, how they repeat their own patterns. And then through conversation, through diving into the exercise, through figuring out and uncovering what, really bothers you or what triggers you or what you're afraid of, right? We lean into whatever you're afraid of, because for anyone that's heard the podcast as of the recording of this week about why your purpose is important. And if you haven't heard that and you're listening to this or watching this by the time this goes out into the world, please listen to why your purpose is important, because it's the understanding that whatever you're afraid of has power over you. And that's part of when it's like we give our power away. That's taking energy from you, because I'm spending time sort of restricting myself versus letting myself flow into whatever. And it, there are simple things. Logically, you would have been like, wear baggy clothes. What's the big deal? But if you're like, oh my God, because that like meant something, or go on a trip by myself. And for some of us, we're like, cool. And you're like, no, my God, I can't do that. Right. But these are little things that for someone else might be no big deal, but for you were life-changing. And that's where being specific about choosing things that stretch you in a way that is meaningful to you, that gives you your power back and shows you. I mean, you made friends, you went and did these different therapy exercises, you felt different, your energy changed, your relationship changed, like things just sort of,
Right.
Came into alignment in a much different way because you were in a bubble of your own world that you needed to have perspective of what it would be to be Julie somewhere else where nobody knows you and you don't have a job and you're not relying on you and you don't have to perform for anything. You're just there. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do with myself? So it was for you, that was and you wanted to do it. So it wasn't like I said, hey, go to a week-long retreat and spend a lot of money. You're like, I really want to do this, but I'm afraid.
I think I told you, and you said that, but yeah, that'd be good, that you need that. And you gave me the extra little push to, like, that would be beneficial. Cause I would always poof it off like, oh, what's it going to do? Who cares? I can go places by myself. I could do it if I wanted to. So I would just fluff it off like it wasn't going to do anything really. And you convinced me that, yeah, I probably would. So you gave me the extra nudge. That helped a lot. Yeah.
What would you say to people who are sort of on the fence about doing this next one? And they have similar goals to everybody in this group, similar pain points, and similar resistance?
Well, I think I'm purchasing, so I like to part with money, probably less than maybe anybody's ever met. And I never thought about it again. The minute I did it, I knew I'd made the right choice. And I mean, JJ, sometimes your jaw will just drop. Like when you say things, you're just like, oh, holy crap, I never thought of it that way. And you just can hear it in your mind going forward. So it's just, if you're thinking of doing it, you just got to do it. Because I looked for 3 years for somebody, and trust me, I did a lot of research and I landed on JJ, and I don't regret it for 1 second. I'm very thankful. You helped me a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I was the person for you. And again, it is a resonance, right? You said you looked. So you were searching for something
I loved. Yeah.
that stuck. Well, and maybe you can find, now that I know which episode it is, maybe we can go back and listen to it and find out what is that I said in that episode.
I looked at the piece of paper and I can't find it. I'll
I know
take a picture someday and send it to you when I find it.
I've been on Kim's show a couple of times, but like way in the beginning when she first started. So I'm guessing that wasn't the episode you heard. It was more new because we did an episode exchange earlier this year.
And do you know, I actually paid her and asked for my money back. I knew it wasn't right. I paid her. I never started the program, but I did she did a 1-hour call. And I was like, okay, because everything in my mind was about relationship, because I had just gotten out of that horrible relationship. Oh, clearly I just need to work on how to find the right person. I don't know how. I'm a bad picker. Like I tell my kids, like, I'm a bad picker. Well, wasn't really that. I was bad. Yeah, partly that, but I didn't know it was because of me. I actually was choosing these people. So I had the call and I was like, oh, yes. And then I did it and I was like, I'm not ready for this. And she was very nice. I mean, it was so fast, but I'm sure she wasn't thrilled, but I did. I just remembered that I actually did it and then undid it. So I didn't do that with you. I was good.
Okay. So from my own standpoint, does it help that I gave you like 10 episodes to listen to before you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to avoid that happening. I want to avoid that happening, and so does Kim.
Right.
So that's why when you came and you were so new,
but it wasn't even about that as much, because I had listened to a lot of hers, and it was my gut instinct knew it's not the dating thing. Like I was going down the wrong path, right? I thought it was that, and I would listen to her advice, and I love her too. She's got a very infectious personality also. But I was just like, oh yeah, and then I just instinctively knew, right? It wasn't it, because I had listened to her a lot and I knew. I think I actually even did an in-person Zoom. She had done a free class thing and I did that. I had done a lot. So it was just that, but yes, it does help. Obviously I came to you with, I just like, oh, I heard one sentence and I'm here. So that was a little odd probably for you to hear that, but
no, I've had people say, hey, look, if I resonate. I just go, yeah. And like,
right.
let's just both be sure this isn't a hard sell. It's either right for you or it's not. Cause I don't want to go through that hassle of refunding somebody because they get cold feet. I want you to feel like Karen felt when she invested more than she's ever invested in herself, is to walk away and say, wake up in the morning and say, nope, have no regrets. Or like years ago, one of my mastermind members who went to bed thinking I can't do that. And then woke up in the morning and said, oh, I have to do that. And that, right. It's this like being,
I think it was more about intuition. I do actually have intuition. And I knew I was intuitively going down the wrong path. I wanted another relationship. I was hurting from my divorce. I wanted to fix that hole and be done with it. And so that's why I was going that, but my body knew that's not what you need. I didn't know what I needed still, but it wasn't, I feel bad that I did that, but it was definitely, I knew, I just knew it wasn't right. I wanted it to be.
You were honest. It was fast. She was nice about it. Yeah. When you go into something and you don't think it's going to work. Hey, I had that happen earlier this year. When someone who isn't coming to me on their own, whose spouse or friend is pushing them to do it, and they're not kind of getting on board, or they're not kind of like getting it, then eventually, because, this kind of work that you guys are doing is, and all of it now, I mean, even everyone coming into the mastermind for 2024, who has been in it before, who has done work with me before, I'm saying, hey, look, this isn't going to be the same anymore. Like the way I was with you a year or 2 years ago was me sort of just letting you figure out your own pace, but I'm seeing your wounds. I'm seeing you repeat them. And my role now has changed. I have changed my role to pushing you, and I will push you. And if you don't want to be pushed, this is the wrong program to be in. All right. I won't let you stay because I want you to get the most out of it. And I want you to grow, and I can do it with love. And if you trust me, hopefully you'll let me do it. And if you don't, then don't be in the program, because, but people live out their core wounds anyway. So regardless, especially in these programs. So when it happens, I go, yep, there's that person punishing, withdrawing, like it's very obvious. There's I never take anything personally, even if they think it's personal. It's not, it's just a core wound playing out that we can see. So great. Okay. So think about, and so as we go back, the next round is how everyone has grown, and we'll give lip service to everyone here. And then we can all do for Lisa too. All right, Miss Mama Stephanie, let's talk about your most, the biggest growth, the biggest exercise for you that changed things.
The biggest thing for me, is just that the power that comes from this new awareness. I think like the message for me of this whole program and the theme was no matter what in life, you always have two choices on how you want to react to everything. And I was like, I can choose to be the victim, or I can choose to be the empowered. And even though that was becoming pretty aware for me, I was like triggering myself by thinking that way. It kind of felt like victim blaming, and I'm like, oh, not everyone asked for these things to happen to them. How can you say they can just be empowered by that, that awful thing? And it kind of helped me rethink about it in just a more positive way, in that, just because you're being the victim, it's not necessarily negative. And you said it over and over again, you didn't know any better. That's the tools that you had. You did the best with what you had. And I think I just got like such a really great, for me, like the awareness was everything. So getting to choose was just so empowering. And even if I was choosing to be a victim for, a few minutes or whatever I needed, it didn't feel the same, because I knew I was going to come out, and it didn't feel like helpless or hopeless. And then just to really understand how my alignment, creates these things in my life for me. And I could either be mad about it or feel sad that I'm blaming it on something else, but I don't feel that way at all anymore. I feel like, okay, well, then I get to change it. If my alignment is bringing this into my life and all these terrible things, and I'm not excusing the people who are doing them to me, because it's awful, but if I can change it, and that's just so empowering. And again, for everything in life. And that's even when I like watch with my family or other people, I always like think about different scenarios. I'm like, oh, what would the empowered do in that situation? What would the victim do in that situation? And I get lots of opportunity every day to practice that, because life just is always challenging you. But I love the feeling of being that empowered person. So again, for me, this whole program was just, I needed to know that I was doing it. I needed to know there was a different way out. And you gave us tools to do it. So, how to get to that empowered place instead of that victim place all the time, but still give yourself lots of compassion and love and understanding if you do fall into that victim, or if you have been there. There's no shame or guilt around the victim. And I love that message too, because, a lot of people, I think when you say that, they get really defensive or triggered. But you just like shower them with love and just know it's okay to be there. And I think that makes it easier to walk your way or step back up to that empowered position. And so every day I practice that. And I guess some of the homework for me was, I love the journaling. It's so simple, the appreciations in the morning and the evening. I could just like write 3 to 4 pages in a huge book of just everything I want to write about, whether it's appreciation, whether it's like love affirmations or things that I'm looking forward to. It's so easy now to fill up these pages of all those things. And it's such a little thing, but it's totally so effective.
So, I always have insider information when there's families. So I'm not going to put anything, there's nothing you don't know that I know. I just know that your mom asked you about the program, and in a family Marco, you said some, I don't know, I didn't see it. You said whatever you said, and it made her cry and feel really happy. So for the person that, and I know it sort of sounded something like, I wouldn't have seen the value in this before, but now I do, or something like that. So I would be curious to hear how you would talk to someone who is listening to this and say, yeah, I don't know, that's for me. I don't really understand what the value is, or like, what would you say to yourself now? How would you have said it to yourself differently? I mean, you're here, so obviously whatever your mom said was good and you needed it, but what would you say now?
What's funny is I love investing in myself, and I love investing in supplements. I love investing in fitness. I love doing all those physiological things that everyone thinks they need to do to be healthy and to do all these great things in life, to live long and happy. But for some reason, to invest in my mind and my mental health, like that was like, oh my God, like so expensive when you first think about it. But really, I've spent probably 10 times that in my body and, your foods and everything else. And I had to ask myself, well, why am I not worth it? That's all I had to ask. Why do I think I'm not worth it? I want to take care of my skin. I want to take care of my muscles. I want to take care of my bones. I want to do all these other things. I feel like that's worth it. But, I knew enough to know that if your mind's not there, or you're not okay in here, then all that other stuff's for nothing. Like it's all so connected. And even though from an outside perspective, like I knew that, I wasn't acting it, you know? So I think that's what I needed to hear. It's like, why don't you think you're worth it? And I'm like, oh, why am I not worth that? I don't know. So I decided just to go for it and then go all in this program because my mom, she signed me up and she believed in me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I better do this and do it right and follow through. So I had a little bit extra, motivation to do that. But as I started, I was like all in immediately. And I think just hearing you talk really was just enough. I'm like, oh my gosh, geez, like this is good advice. And even helping with the other girls' problems, I loved hearing what they had to say because I loved what you said to them. I was like, oh, I would have never like said that to someone or thought of that. So I got a lot just through everyone else too. I thought the advice was always so great and I could use it into my own life, even though it didn't directly relate. It's all like, the same kind of messaging. So what I would say to other people is just that, like, why don't you think you're worth it? Like this can literally change your life. Every single minute of the day can be changed for the better if you just like believe that you're worth it. Oh, I love that mindset of that.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the power of the group. And it's this thing I said, Karen, I know you listened to the show today. It's the thing that, no coach, nobody can give you what you get from a group, a well-done group, right? You can have a not well-done group. So let's just put that aside. You can have a really not well-done group. But in our group and the way that I run these with the Marcos and stuff, or in the mastermind, like you'll learn more from what I say to somebody else than you'll learn from what you ask of me, because like you just said, you won't think to ask that question, but then you're going to hear something in there because of the detached part of it. Like you're not, when you ask a question, you're really listening for an answer that you're ready to hear. But when you're not so hyped up for an answer to a question, you can hear more. It's like why, I sell pretty good on my show because I'm not talking to any one person in particular. I get to say the things I can't say to you as a person, because then you'd be like, whoa, stop bullying me. Right. Even though that's what I want to say, but you're not ready to receive it. But if I put on a podcast and you think I'm talking about somebody else, you'd be like, oh my God, I hear it now. I mean, anyway, but that's just human nature and psychology. So I appreciate that. And thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate you being in the group.
Can I have a news break? I found it. Here it is.
Okay. What'd I say?
Note right there. And I texted to you, JJ, so you can have it. It says, awaken your dream life. JJ Flizanes identifies sabotaging patterns, translate struggle into joy, personal roadmap to emotional healing, 6 months. And we did 3, but.
So basically it was my bio. That's in my bio.
Well,
that's, yeah.
No, is it exactly your bio? Oh, maybe.
Well, yes, some of
would
it.
You have said that though on the podcast? Because I have them tick points. I have tick points. Like I'm writing it down.
What would have happened is probably Kimmy would have read it and we would have talked about it a little bit.
Oh, maybe I went, because I have it like ticked down, like tick points, like I was writing it. And I read it so fast that it's like really scribbly. Okay, well, that's what I heard. That's what I
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Hey, it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
All right, Karen, you are on to share with the ladies the growth you see in them in those 3 months.
Okay. And I just wanted to just say too, and working together in this group is what makes all the difference. Like you said, you might have been someone, it could have been Julie, could have been Stephanie, could have been Lisa, or someone else that said something and you would respond, but it would so resonate with me. And it, like you said, it might not have been something I asked, but your response or what they were asking, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's me too, or I feel that way. And I think I'm going to just say another big part of being in the group is you realize, oh, wait, it's not just me. There's other people that actually feel that way and are having those same feelings and emotions. So it's that connection altogether that's just amazing. So with that being said, I will start with Julie. Julie, I see a much calmer, more confident woman in you. I see an inner strength come out of you now. And I mean, look at you. You went away on your own. That was a huge, huge step for you. And I know it was. And to be able to watch that growth over these past few months has been amazing. And the growth in your relationship. I mean, how you're handling your relationship now, and just, you know, the trigger points, and it's just all so different, and, you know, it's not making you spiral and go into all these dark, bad places. It's just really, I mean, even with just situational people that were in the relationship and how you're handling it now, it's amazing, and it's so great to see. So to you, Julie, great, really. Stephanie, I'm going to say, first of all, you're the youngest of all of us, but you are so wise. You truly are. I see the things that you have said on Marcos and on calls and all. It amazes me. I mean, here you are with young children and everything else, but you're working on yourself and you're growing so much. And you're so inspiring. You truly, truly are. I see a stronger confidence in yourself, and I see how you're taking care of you. You know, you're getting back to the working outs. I saw some of your videos and doing all the things that you love and brings you joy. And I mean, it's wonderful. It's just, and how insightful you are. You're just very, very insightful. And I mean, from the beginning, just everything that you had to say, I've just watched you grow, and I connected with you in so many ways, and it's been a wonderful growth watching you. Truly, truly, especially as a new mom. And look at you right now juggling it all, and you do it with such grace and ease. Really, it's just, you know what, kudos to you, and it's been a wonderful growth watching you. And we'll give Lisa a shout out.
Give Lisa a shout out.
Yes, Lisa, her as well. So much more confidence. I think confidence across the board for everybody. When she first started, she couldn't even go on camera, Lisa. And I told her so many times, you need to go back and watch your first one. You wouldn't even go on a camera. And then before you know it, we're watching her walk through nature and, you know, talking and doing her thing. And it was just, she was just so much more comfortable on video, and so communicative and just more, she was calmer, and just I felt a much more confident energy within Lisa. So just all around, everyone had just grown so, and it's been such a wonderful experience to watch everybody.
Thank you, Karen. I'm going to go at the end because I'm going to do boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to have Julie go next.
Well, I will not be as well thought out or spoken as Karen was, but that's the nature of Karen. So she's the one that would come on every day, start her day as probably earlier, had to be probably on the road for sure, earlier than anybody. And she just always, you know, had compliments for everybody and shared her life with us so we could, you know, see what she was going through and the things that she was dealing with. And you would never know it if you just met her, you'd never know it, because seems like she's got it all together and she's so happy. But there's, like, we all have things. Like she said one time that, oh, somebody asked if I can help you get that down. And I said, yeah, you can help me, but normally I wouldn't accept help. And I was like, wow, that's interesting, because it's just things that you don't have or other people have. So it's just really cool to, like, have the group setting where you can learn and experience, and then your comments, like she said, JJ, on how that's all handled. But you really kept us going, Karen, the group, a lot of times, and taking JJ out of it. But it's for us as a team, because you really just are inspiring. And then I'd be like, oh, shoot, I haven't done it again. She's done 2 to my 1. So it wasn't a competition, but yet you got to have somebody getting things going sometimes. So thank you for that. Always your cheerful demeanor. And I know she and I developed a text chain, so she maybe knows a little more of some of my crazy stuff. She's talked me off the ledge a couple times. So that was something I wouldn't have had. And so yes, thank you. And I'm just so proud. Think of the growth you have with you. It felt like when you came on, you were like ahead of us, a few steps ahead of all of us, because you'd had a little bit of interaction, I think, with JJ, or you had a little bit of it, right? So you seemed ahead of the game, which was awesome. But like the business thing, like you now have a business, you have an LLC, for crying out loud, and you kept throwing away your bio or whatever, you're rewriting it and throwing it away. And JJ finally gave you a deadline. I loved it. By Friday, I want you to have that done. And like us corporate good people do, you give us a deadline and we're going to stick to it, right? So you did it. So I'm very proud of you. You've been amazing. And Stephanie, oh my goodness, you're a little bundle of joy. And I agree with Karen, like you're so young compared to, well, compared to me at least. And for you to be doing this now, I pray that, and my kids can do something like this when they have kids and they can understand before they're grown. Like I'm doing it when my kids are grown. So the growth in you seemed pretty, I mean, I'm an outsider, but very confident. I thought you were confident when you came on. I thought you were wise already, like seriously, so wise, but you see the subtle changes over time and how you'll tell a story about how you got yourself together, or because remember at first we didn't know each other's lives very much. So you seemed like you were perfectly fine. I mean, I think I came on, I think I cried the most of everybody. I think I was vomiting my emotions more than anybody. So everybody knew I was a mess, but I mean, it took a little while to see people's, triggers of what they're working on. And I had a session with, one cool thing, JJ, you do is have everybody talk to everybody. And Stephanie, our session, that was in that very difficult time in my relationship. And you really helped me with how you were able to change your thought process about relationships and about how you can handle things when they're not going right and turn it around. And so thank you for that, because I needed that at that moment. And I didn't feel like I gave you as much as you gave me. So I'll again apologize for that. So, and Lisa, she, I would tell the same story as Karen. So basically couldn't go on camera. And then she's coming on with a bee's nest or a whatever net over her head, walking through the nature because she didn't want any insects on her. And it was beautiful. I mean, we had people in baths, saunas, nature. We had people all over the place on our market poles, the car, dark, morning, noon, and night. So it was awesome.
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, I joked in the current Rewire training with the trainers, which is Stephanie's mom is in, and I said, well, Stephanie, I think started the bathtub polo. So, and then Karen and I both jumped into that too. I said, so, right. So that's not a normal thing. And no one's seen everybody naked. You're just seeing the tub, but it's about being comfortable in your skin and about being seen and heard, which is again, what I have said before. So Stephanie, your turn.
It's funny to kind of like comment on everyone. I don't want to like start with myself again, but yeah, I always kind of from the outside look like I really got it together, and I always look really confident and really composed and put together. But near the end, so the beginning of our group calls, I kind of would be the kind of person to sit back and I just wanted to listen. I just wanted to take it all in and again, just keep my composure. But the one where I was away in vacation in El Salvador, I found myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I was talking that whole time. Like I kind of took like away from everyone else a little bit. Like I talked more than what I ever would. I don't even know why I can't put that into words, but I was just kind of a little bit more selfish, like me. And then I think everyone started to realize like, oh, you are vulnerable. I'm surprised. You seem like you have it so together. And that was just such a huge moment for me to be like, oh, okay, I'm healing, because I felt okay doing that. And I felt okay asking for help and putting myself above everyone else. And even in our group calls, like I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to listen and like, let's let these girls go first. So thanks for pointing that out, ladies, because it just kind of popped up now. But what I've seen in everyone else, I'm going to be a lot shorter than the girls, but Karen definitely just like creating the businesses and just like having this idea and turning it into action. I think that's like huge, because I'm kind of in that same place right now where I'm trying to do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can really understand how big of a leap that was and how you got stretched and you're already like succeeding. Like, that's amazing. I'll go to Lisa too. The biggest thing I've noticed in her is just her voice. So she kind of was like me, the first Marcos, where her voice was like a little raspy, a little quieter, a little shaky. There was a lot of emotion behind it. To the end of our Marcos, she just would like carry out such a loud tone, and you know, would be so fluent in what she was saying, and had no issue bringing up anything. So I think her voice and her confidence within her voice, and then just her like business adventures as well, and her ideas that she was creating, she just seemed so confident within it. And then Julie, I actually really loved that phone call too, because again, I had a lot of similarities within in how I was acting in my relationship. And so when I could see it from the outside perspective, I was like, oh, I'm doing that too. Like, okay, I better take my own advice, because I've always been really great at giving it. I've always been really insightful, but when it comes to me, I'm just so blinded. But that was a really great conversation where I could see, you know, the similarities, and I got a lot from that as well. So I seen in you, Julie, just confidence, number one. And the beginning of our coaching calls and stuff, you kind of you almost thought you were more confident than what you were. You always were, I'm fine. I'm always the cool person. I always got my things together. Everyone always says how you're so bubbly and so happy, but you're on the Marco every day crying. So it was just like, maybe she doesn't see what we're seeing, because you're letting yourself be yourself in front of us, which is great. And I think as soon as you accepted that, oh, okay, maybe I'm not this person who I thought I was or who I was trying to be, then all of a sudden I seen confidence for real. But that was the biggest thing I noticed in you, Julie. And then I got to kind of see that in myself as well. And another shout out to Karen, I guess I'll go back to you, is, you know, just like Julie said, you did keep our group going. You know, you were the person on every single morning, and I'd hear that notification. Karen's on Marco, and I'm like, okay, all right. Better do mine too, trying to keep up. So that was really great to just have someone to keep us accountable, and having the small group was really awesome for that. So I really appreciate all you girls.
All right, ladies, take a nice deep breath, breathe it all in, receive all the compliments, receive the reflections, receive the growth. You know, you can do a lot of work, but if you aren't able to receive it, then it goes, you know, then we deflect and we project and we stay. So, yeah, Karen, so you had this energy of there's something wrong with me that you would bring, even though you didn't want it, you were clear, you were like, no, I don't want this, but it was this, I got to figure out what's wrong with me. And you know, what you got to see was, oh, nothing's wrong with me. I'm great. And I can do great things. So yes, between the confidence, you taking action, you really taking action. I mean, from doing Instagram and videos and Facebook photos, and then doing the LLC and doing exactly what I told you to do, which surprisingly enough, not everybody does. You pay me a lot of money, people, and then I tell you what to do, and then you don't do it. And then you go, why is nothing happening? Because you didn't listen to what I said, because it was probably too stretchy. Oh, it's too scary. I can't do it. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You pay this money. You want growth. Here's what you're going to do. And you did the things, and you're seeing it. And I screamed when you were on the Marco saying, I got my first client. I was like, I knew that it wasn't going to, you know, because you know people. And anyway, so yes, your lightness, your energy is now permeating your value, not your whatever you perceive to be something wrong with me. The story that you have about your childhood, about your parents, about blah, 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 like all that, the divorces, like that was weighing on you as this is who I am. And you have put that down. You are now focused forward on your future and on what you are here to do. And it's lighting you up, and it's giving you this presence that all you have to do is just keep showing up in that way, and you're going to be golden. So, yes, I'll acknowledge that Lisa couldn't get on Marco. And of course I knew that was going to be stretchy for her, but that's part of the piece of what I tell all of you and everybody who's listening. This platform forces you to be seen and heard in a different way than others do. And you don't even know you need it until you get it, right? If someone says, do you think you need to be seen and heard? You'd be like, no, I'm good. I see him seen her all day long. But like in this vulnerable situation, you get it and you go, oh my God, I feel so deeply seen and heard. That's what happens to the confidence. That's what happens to your light. That's what happens to to the confidence level, is that you all feel valuable and valued by each other. And then you allow that to sink in and go, oh yeah, I do have value. And it changes some of those core wounds just by doing this. And again, I, as a trainer, and nobody as a coach, as a therapist, can do that for you. Nobody. This is what community brings. This is what groups do, provided it's the right group. Not all groups are going to do this, but but the kind of curriculum that this is, this is what we're working on. So I appreciate Lisa's confidence and identification and positivity and pivot from some of the sort of repression that was happening there to now the acknowledgement and then the moving forward and then the being happy and excited about what she can create and the realization to that. Julie, yeah, I think even though you didn't work with Kimmy, and you thought you did start off thinking it was about the other person. What's wrong with these other people? It was still, we had that picker conversation for a little while in the beginning there. It was like, no, it's you. It's you. And you're like, it's me. It's you. You're the common denominator. I'm not saying that they don't have responsibility for how they show up, but it's the idea that we can't do anything about the other person. And so many times people think that that's the game of the game. Let me behave in a way, trick the person. So you taking your power back has made you calmer, more confident, really confident, and also centered in it. I don't have to react mode. Like you are more centered than you were as an air sign. That's an important thing for you to be, because you can't really access your intuition if you're all scattered all over the place all the time. And not that you were scattered all over the place all the time. It was just your emotions where you wanted to figure it out. You really, really wanted to figure it out. And that was like really bothering you. And I think now you're embodying a level of presence that has a deeper trust that you're going to attract what you need, and you're not going to try to force anybody to give it to you. And so that gives you a power that you have now, that you exude this. It's just a quiet confidence of, I know who I am. I know my value. Well, I may not know the details of who I am, but I know I have value, and I know that it's all about me first, and then look to the world to see what's reflecting back to me. So I've definitely seen your aha moments, and you do the things, you did do the things, you did go on the trip. So you were brave and you were courageous. And I think that showed you that you can do anything. And so now you don't have the same fear because you already nixed those fears in the bud. And Stephanie, again, insider information. I know that I know this sort of Sag Pisces in you. It's like, oh, I'm very sensitive, but I'm not going to show that to everybody. I'm very emotional, but I'm gonna put on the face of the Sag that says, no, I'm good. Like a cool, calm, and collected. And that vulnerability is hard for most people. But what I really saw you lean into was the acceptance, like that greater acceptance of yourself, the less judgmental about yourself, the less worried about what other people thought about you, the leaning into what is like, oh my God, I never really thought about what do I want. No wonder when I'm single, I'm not much better, but I feel more confident because I don't have to consider anybody else. And all of a sudden this paradigm shift of, you took your power back in a loving way, in a loving yourself way, in such a great bringing yourself back home and then living from that place. So, I love when you started to share more and feel more confident and connected. And of course you are wise and giving everybody advice. You have the tools. And I think when we don't use them, it's because there's this idea that I have to behave in a certain way to get the love that I want. And when you understood that you had to give the love to yourself first, and that you had the love around you, but you weren't really receiving it because you're too busy managing it. You're too busy managing how people were giving it, how you were taking it, what you expected. And when you put all that down, when you realize, oh, I don't need to do any of that, then you became calmer and could accept and bring in more and feel the love from the people around you. So you've all, it's been great to watch you guys grow in the last couple of months. It's been really fast. It's been like hard and fast. And I'm glad you're still connected with each other. And I know I'll see you all in January at Awaken Your Dream Life. And unless there's any last words, I just want to say thanks for your trust in me and doing this program. I hope I served you well. I know I've seen growth in all of you. That's why I start with you guys seeing it in you. And of course, Karen was always reflecting everyone else's growth, and some of every day, look at you grow, look at you go. So, and you guys did it with each other too. When cause it's obvious, we're all in this together. So I appreciate all of that. And anyone else have last things they want to say?
I just want to say thank you for stretching us, JJ. You brought us all to the next level and being part of this community. And we're going to continue, ladies, with our Marco that we put together, right? We're going to keep it going. But JJ, it's amazing what you did with us in the few months and just the changes all around. So thank you so much. And thank you for pushing me the way you did to make me finally do what I've wanted to do for so many years. Really.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And just so you know, we are the conscientious women
Oh, that's your new group?
in our polo. Yeah, that's our new group.
Perfect.
Karen named us in true form.
Right.
Leader, the leader of the pack. We're gonna keep it going though.
Good.
I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna try
Good.
and do it first once in a while.
And we
Thank you.
could do some more bath Marcos. That's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody should Marco in the bath. Like it's much better.
It's very liberating. It's very liberating.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Thank you so
everyone, and
much.
Thank you, JJ.
You are welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure to work with you. Yes. And if anyone is interested in reaching out to any one of them, again, if we're putting any details of contact information, it'll be in the show notes. And the next Rewire is coming up soon. If this at all speaks to you, please visit jjflizanes.com. The link is there, or jjflizanes.com/rewire to apply, take it on a call. It is a conversation. It is not an automatic, like you have to pay something because it may not be a fit. As I told Julie, right? Not that it wasn't a fit, but please do this first. Let's just make sure that you know what you're getting into. So I thank you guys all for being here, and I look forward to seeing some of you who are listening in a group just like this.